Hi folks, I've got a great game of World of Tanks to show you today. Now I haven't posted one of these videos in a while, but I felt like this battle in particular merited a video, so I kind of wanted to show it off. And as you can see, I'm playing the EBR Hotchkiss at Tier 7. It's a great little Tier 7 wheelie light tank. I think, honestly, this is one of my favorites. This one and maybe the Tier 8 Premium and the Tier 10 are all really good light tanks. Now I know these things get a lot of hate, but I like driving them. And so my thoughts here, I'm going to try to get some early spottings, which I do. I don't think I get any spotting damage off of this, unfortunately. But I'm trying to get those early spots off. And I'm driving back to get back into cover here because I don't want to stay up there too long. It's a very dangerous position to sit in. So now I'm thinking I'm going to drive around and get into a really good bush to spot in. So when the enemies are moving across from about B3 to A7, you can get some good spots off if you come up to this ridge line up here. So going up here, I'm loading some AP because I feel like that's going to be the best ammunition type. And I'm sitting in this bush, which I feel like is a really good bush to get spots. And so for the first part of this battle, I'm going to be pretty passive. I see some trees falling over there, and so I ping the position, let people know. And then I spot the Chrysler, and that's a really good example of some of the spots you can get from this position. There's the AMX as well. And I'm pinging them, and I've already got 219 spotting damage. Really great position for spotting damage right here, especially since the enemy team only has a single light tank. So that's only one light tank that could possibly counter me. There you see another bush over there on the left getting knocked over. I'm just sitting here requesting that my allies actually shoot these guys, and they do a little bit. There's the Patton, so you can get a lot of spots here. And that's a really good shot by the artillery there. I get a ton of spotting damage from that. And so this battle is kind of a demonstration of how patience can really pay off, because the first part of the battle I'm not being super active. I'm just providing eyes for my team. I'm taking it really slowly, and I'm being very cautious. To have these really big games like we're going to see here, you really have to be in that mindset of being cautious and not giving away all of your hit points at the beginning of the battle. So I see that that position's pretty much dried up, so I also see that the base is pretty open, and then the base is going to need someone to spot it. So I'm driving over here, and I'm driving over to this position to see if I'm going to get spotted, and I don't from the bushes over there. So I'm going over to spot the base because I see that the enemies are going to be coming up, and there's that AMX 1375 right there. And so I dodge his shot, and I'm falling back to get unspotted. As you can see, I do have 2 marks. I am going for my third mark here, and we'll see if I get it in the end plates, if the thumbnail doesn't spoil it. But so I come up to this bush, because I feel like this is going to be a pretty good bush for spotting enemies on the base here. And I don't know if I spot the CS-44, but he's spotted. So I just sit here, because I know the enemies, they're the ones who are going to have to advance. I spot the Scorpion, and he's going to get dead pretty quick, and so I go behind the bushes there. And so I do get spotted here, so I fall back a little bit. I don't take any shots. I'm just playing this very cautiously. Remember that as a light tank, you're most useful at the end of the game, especially on one of these open spotting maps like this one. So I'm in the bush here. And I see that there's a P-43 and a Styr Emil on my right. I don't want to shoot the Styr Emil, even though it's really tempting, because I don't want to get spotted yet. So I'm going to try to keep him spotted. But I don't really want to go forward until at least the AMX-13 has been killed. And our team's doing pretty well. We're up by about, I don't know, maybe 2,000 hit points, give or take. And so here's the CS-44. I don't want to shoot him here because the bush is not opaque. So I'm really just pinging him, trying to get my teammates to shoot him. They're not really looking this way right now. And I don't want to risk giving away my position to that P-43 on my right, so I'm holding my fire for now. And one of my teammates takes a blind shot there. Don't know if it hits. But I don't really want to drive forward yet. So I'm just going to keep spotting the Stura Meal. I could spot the CS-44, but I don't know that my teammates are looking at him yet, so I'm not going to do that. And I've got a whole minute to drive up there, so I'm just going to wait for now. And I'm already up to over 3,000 spotting damage, so this is already a pretty good spotting game. Now the M53-55 is telling me to spot. I agree with him, and that kind of lets me know that the artillery is actually aiming for the CS-44. So I am able to spot him, and he dies instantly now that my team is actually looking at him. So that's a good example of how communication can help. So I get kind of lucky here that the T-43 misses. Probably a misplay right there, actually. I got really lucky. So do a drive-by of him is right here. I trade a shot. I'm not entirely sure if that was worth it, but I'm going around here because I see that the T-43 is pretty isolated. Luckily, my wheel absorbs that shot. Those wheels made of adamantium or whatever your choice fictional metal is. I missed that shot. It's on the move. And I decide, you know what, I don't really have to fight this guy. I'd rather spot the P-43 right now. So I drive away to get unspotted, and I'm going to drive up onto this hill here to see if I can spot the P-43 and get him damaged. So I'm going to crest the ridge to see what's what, and I see that the P-43 is long gone, but I do spot the A-15. Now keep an eye on that A-15. I do get a little bit of spotting on him. I'm already up to 4,000, which is pretty good. I don't manage to respot him there. So I'm like, okay, the T-43 is probably distracted by now. I'm going to go back and see what he's up to. So as a light tank, you never want to get too hyper-focused on one target. You want to go around, do a little bit of damage here, then they shift your focus onto you, and then you move somewhere else. And so I believe I spot the T-43 again. I'm going to do another drive-by, see if he's expecting that. And what do you know, he's facing the other way, allows me to get a free shot right into him. So I drive by again, wait till I'm loaded. And a little bit of a misplay there. I didn't quite turn my turret the way I needed, and I do take a shot there. But I trade with him. And now I see the SC-130 PM, so I know I don't really need to risk any of my hit points on killing the T-43. So I kind of let the SC-130 take him out there. Because the SC-130 is on full health, and I'm on about half health now. And I know that to dig the enemy tanks out of those bushes up in the A and B line, I'm really going to need my health. So the KV-4 is saying there's TDs in the woods. I think that's extremely likely. And the P-43, AT-15, those guys haven't been spotted in a while. So I noticed there's not a lot of tanks over here on between the 3 and the 1 line. So I decided it's probably okay to move up. I do get spotted, so I take evasive maneuvers. Probably spotted by the P-43 over there. So I'm just getting into cover, trying to move around so the artillery doesn't hit me. He's probably not aiming over this way. And now I'm going to try to spot this P-43 here. So in retrospect, I don't know if it would have been a better play to go up along the bush line or go up along here, but I do spot the P-43 again. Hopefully get some damage here. Just driving around trying to get unspotted. I don't want to be spotted for too long here. So the P-43 gets unspotted. Now I decide to take the bush approach, and I move up through the bushes to maintain my concealment. And I spot the P-43 again. Now before I fire it, I decide to drive back behind the bushes, and I pick up my first kill of the game without getting spotted because it was behind the bushes. And here I spot the Roomba, so I don't really want to get spotted by him either. That big tree probably would have blocked me, but I decide to be safe and get behind the bushes because I really don't want the Roomba or the AT-15 to start farming me. And the Roomba dies pretty quick, and I believe I get a blind shot there, which will be important later. If you notice in the top of my screen, I'm pretty close to Mission 15 for the Chimera, which is a pretty good accomplishment for a Tier 7 tank. The Mission 15 tends to be a pretty hard one. So I drive up into the bush here, seeing if I can get shots in the M46, and the AT-15's not here. I don't find him, which is kind of what I was expecting. So that tells me he's probably back in the tree line now. And so now I'm picking up shots on the M46 Patton, again staying very safe because I don't want to get spotted and shot by the guys who are probably over there in the forest. So the T-29 gets spotted. I take a shot at him. I missed that shot, unfortunately. So I pull back so that I don't get spotted by the M46. And I decide, okay, T-29 is pretty low in health, and I've got the SU-130 moving up. I do notice that I have some shots here, so I take those. I get some pretty good damage. Again, I'm behind these bushes. And getting some nice damage here on a tier 9 tank, so that's going to give me a lot of experience. And somebody else picks up the kill after I missed that shot. So I'm really looking out for this AT-15 because I think he's got to be in this forest, right? And actually, if you're watching this, I want you to think, where is the AT-15? So I spot the artillery, and I pick up the kill on him after taking some evasive maneuvers. And now I'm going over to kill the T-29. Still haven't spotted that AT-15. Where could he be? Fortunately, that one doesn't go in with the auto-aim. So I take my time here to aim that one because I know that he's still reloading. I've got a damaged wheel. Now I decide, since the T-29's focused on me and the SU-130's behind him, I'm just going to let the SU-130 pick up this kill. No reason to risk my hit points here when I'm fighting in an AT-15, a tank with a very good DPM. Even though I can probably get behind him, if I have a long approach to him, I could easily get farmed with my relatively low hit points in this tank. You always got to watch your hit points in the wheelies, because people think they're pretty overpowered, but they don't take many hits. So you really got to be careful. So AT-15's not over in the trees, apparently. Where could he be? I'm just driving around looking for him. I'm honestly really confused. And there he is. Now, I to this day, I have no idea how that AT-15 got there. Feel free to let me know what you think about how the AT-15 must have got there. Like, maybe he drove across the field there and then went up our side of the hill, but the AT-15 is slow, so I really don't know. And both me and the KB4 are kind of wondering about that in chat. So I'm noticing now that I'm pretty close to getting this Chimera Coalition-15 mission. So I decided to just kind of go for it. I can get behind the AT-15 pretty easily, and if nothing else, I can at least get the spotting on him. So I spot the AT-15. He's looking right at me, so I stay behind the ridge. Yeah, the KB4 is right. We kind of covered every angle. He's kind of backing up to where my teammates can shoot him. And I actually don't get the damage on him, but I do get the assistance, and I'm so close to getting Chimera 15 on this mission. And when we look at the end plates, we'll see if I actually get it with the blind shots. But so that's the replay. Before we go to the end plates, I want to do on my channel. If you're not familiar, I like to do science on my channel a little bit. Maybe in the future I'll do some more about my graduate school research. But for my gaming videos, I like to do a little microorganism shout out. So on to the shout out. Hi folks, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different this time for the microorganism shout out, since I haven't done one of these in quite a while. Since the current topic of my research is pollen and fossil pollen, I think for the next few shout-outs that I'm going to do, I might continue doing this for a while, is I'm going to be doing pollen grains. Now, there are a lot of different applications for being able to identify a pollen grain under the microscope. One of which, and this is the topic of my current research, is being able to identify fossil pollen grains. So pollen preserves as fossils surprisingly well, and it's somewhat due to the chemistry of its outer layer, its exine, which you can kind of see in this image here. And usually when you're looking at these things, you want to treat them with chemicals so that it brings out some of the features, which we'll talk about in a second. But today's microorganism is Quercus. The genus Quercus, and you might recognize Quercus as oak. So these are oak tree pollen, and this species right here is Quercus alba. It's in the family Fagaceae, and there's a number of cool features about Quercus. It's a pretty common pollen grain, um, unsurprisingly, because oak trees are also pretty common, at least in the United States and the East Coast. Now, when you're identifying these things, you want to understand what view you're looking at the pollen grain in. So this one would be a polar view, so you're looking down at the pole, and this one would be more of an equatorial view here. So in both the polar and the equatorial view, we can see one of its most prominent features, which is its three colpi. So these are kind of slits where the pollen opens up to let the gametes out. But in the equatorial view, they kind of look like fruit slices, I think. In the polar view, they look like notches here. And if we look at another species, Quercus laevis, again, we can see those three colpi, and then we can see the kind of trilobate shape in the polar view here. And some of these have a little bit of a pore here, so you might call them tricolporoidate. But usually you just refer to these as tricolpate, so as three colpi. And another feature of these things is they also tend to have this really bumpy double-layered exine that's pretty characteristic here. They tend to be about 35 to 40 microns in length, and I think they look kind of like grapes, about that shape. So those are oak pollen, a pretty common one. Okay, so that's the microorganism shout out. Back to the end plates. All right, so here we're in the end plates. We can see here that I do get my third mark of excellence. I also get a mastery badge and several medals. I think there's a spotter, a Confederate, and a scout medal, so that's pretty good. One thing that the plates don't actually show here is that I did end up getting Coalition Mission 15 for the Chimera with this battle, which is pretty good for a tier 7 tank. And here we see that I'm top on my team. I've got 2,000 damage, not the top damage on my team. But I do get a whopping 1,600 base experience with 4 medals. That's a really good result there. Really good base experience, um, especially compared to everyone else on my team. And then lastly, we can see here that I get over 6,700 assistance damage. So this was a really good spotting game for me. We can also see that I lost a few credits in this battle, but honestly, I don't really care too much about that. I got a lot of experience, and I got my mission. So that's the battle. I hope you enjoyed it. Like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribe for more.